Welcome back to Project Ozone 2 Kappa mode, and it's time! It's time for AE2, or Applied Energistics 2 if you want the full name. We've been doing some stuff off camera, and I just wanted to show that first of all, I made an inscriber. They're not terribly hard. Inscribe, there we go. These are just carbon wafers, which are just carbon from Venus. And the rest of this is straightforward. Sticky pistons, obviously straightforward, apart from flux blocks, which come from flux crystals. And to get those, you drop some charged surface quartz, nether quartz, and redstone dust into a puddle. So let's just actually make more of that. So we want charged. We want nether. And we want redstone. And we need a puddle of some kind, so let's just pop up here. Is the one in this corner? No, of course not. No, in that corner. It's the one in this corner. Yeah, so you can just drop these into a puddle. Make sure you don't have a magnet. I don't at the moment. Okay, and they'll start combining into flux crystals. So we can use those to make this inscriber. I'm going to be making multiple of these. I've only crafted one for the moment. Now, normally, what you have to do is then go out and find meteorites. Now, we're in a void world, so that's not going to be possible here. You can find them in the mining world, apparently, but that's not much of an issue because in this pack, there are recipes. So we can make one with certus quartz block on top of a block of iron, another one with a block of diamond, another one with a block of gold, another one with a silicon. Now, be careful with the silicon. This recipe works, but the one to make the printed silicon, let's just double get that one up. So yeah, it says use an inscriber silicon press and raw silicon, or it should change in a second. Well, we can look at this one, this type of silicon. Okay, so inscriber silicon press, silicon. And watch it work now when I actually don't want it to. Well, when I haven't had it work previously. So inscriber silicon press, I made the recipe up for that one. That goes into the top, just like it says in the recipe. And we have silicon over here that's a byproduct of clay. So if we grab that, bring it back over, and here's where I had problems. Can't click anything in. Can't shift click anything in. So it won't go in that slot, won't go in this slot. Yeah, see, nothing. So this type of silicon, despite it saying so in the recipe, doesn't work. So what you have to do is make this other kind of silicon, which is sand in a crusher. And I've only got one of the crushers at the moment, and it's for biofuel. However, you can just sort of borrow it and maybe do a few of those. It does sort of work, but I'll probably need to make another crusher. So just bear that in mind if you do get to the inscribers and they don't work. However, what I'm hopeful of is that we can instead put you away for a minute. I've made one of the other presses, but not all of them yet. Is use the advanced inscriber. Now, it's not from Applied Energistics 2 itself. It's from another mod called AE2 stuff, which has an advanced inscriber, an advanced crystal growth chamber, which we're going to go into next. But this lets us, well, make another block. But I'm hopeful that that will let us actually able to use the other silicon. If not, then, well, I guess I'm going to have to make another crusher. However, the important part about this advanced one versus this regular one is that this block in Applied Energistics is very finicky. Okay, so what it actually does is it requires you to pipe things into the top side of the block and the bottom side of the block, and you get it at the back and bits and pieces like that you have to be a little bit careful of. The advanced one, from what I've read, is basically you can pipe into any side you like. So that's pretty good. So let's have a look at some of the other things we're going to need. Let's have a look. So flux dust and sand makes flux seed. Okay, and flux seed, if I remember rightly, we get magical crops version of those. That would actually be quite handy. Let's just look at pure. There we go. So there's 3 types of crystal that you get that are pure versions for Applied Energistics 2. One is certus quartz, which comes from certus quartz seed, which is made from certus quartz dust and sand. And that you could drop into a puddle of water. Same thing with the pure ones, which I've done some you may have seen in my other inventory system. fluic seed made from fluix dust and sand into a puddle of water, and this one is nether quartz seed made from nether quartz dust and sand into a puddle of water. The problem with that is it takes a long time, hours if I remember rightly, and I got very, very impatient. So just to start things off, I actually made some crystal growth accelerators. Here they are. Now you can't connect these directly to your power system from memory. Nope, they don't like it. The other thing is they are a bit particular about what side you connect power to anyway. You want this flat side facing wherever the cables are going, just like this. See, I've linked these two and there. So we do actually need something to connect them in. So in this case, we can get an energy acceptor from the same mod, and you pop it down and they come online. So now if you put anything into this water in the middle, they will convert over in a matter of, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes, something like that. Very quick. But again, with E22 stuff, we can do some more advanced stuff. So advanced crystal. No. Let's just try growth. Crystal growth chamber. That's it. It's not advanced. Take 6 of these normal ones. So we've got 4 already. So I can just craft the extra couple. An obsidian chest, which is just a regular diamond chest surrounded by obsidian, and a calculation processor, which is one of those inscriber recipes. Needs a printed silicon and a printed calculation circuit, and that is just quartz effectively to make that. So that's quite simple. And it requires this middle piece, which you pipe in from the back in a normal inscriber and get this out of the back, I think, if I remember rightly. It's been a while, but it's in my previous playthrough as well. This is very simple. It's just redstone and ender pearl, and you get this calculation processor out. So this recipe is quite simple. We just need to make these crystal growth accelerators. Now I've made 4 of them, but they require a few things that you may not have made before. Zavicio ingots in particular requires these diamond infused manescence. Okay, this seems to be hard to get, but you basically have to put artifact armors that you get from our mob drop, which we've got loads of, into a crafting grid, and you get this manescence out. Combine that with Minicio block, which is really cheap, and diamonds, you end up with diamond infused manescence. Manescence? I need to know how to pronounce that. And Zavicio, which we can get from our essence downstairs, and just mana steel. And we can make crystal growth accelerators, which shortcut things massively. So again, what you actually need is some of this top stuff, which I've got 17 of. Yeah, so to give you an idea, I don't think I've shown you the numbers here. I started off with 30,000 in the bottom. I converted all of that through Axio or ASIO or Axio? ASIO? All of that through that tier into this tier. By this point, it dropped to 2,000. Just because you need more than one. You need at least 4, if not 8, I think, per conversion. Drops down to 2,000. I started converting more of that down to 100, then down to 17. So that top tier stuff is really quite valuable and consumes quite a lot of the bottom stuff, obviously. However, you know, our mob farm over here, the replacement cache I put in place, is doing pretty well. 13,000. So it builds up quite nicely. Okay, so if we get a crystal growth accelerators and we make some of those pure crystals, we can make some of the other machines, and this is where we get into a full network. Obviously in Applied Energistics, well, let's say obviously, in Applied Energistics 2, without an ME controller, you can make up to 8 devices on one network. You can just link them together with the cable. Do I have any of that ME cable around? Cable? Yeah, ME glass cable. So you can just link together machines without an ME controller, but only up to 8, and it becomes very confining very quickly. While I'm just thinking about it, over here, by the way, I just cleaned everything up. Works perfectly now. I just put ore and sulfur in here, and out into the system pops osmium crystals. I've got over 1,000 of them. This uses a huge amount of power, though. It's like 8k RF per tick or something like that. So I've just broken the... I've just broken the cable for now. Yes, I can't make anything with the lasers just yet, but I will separate those out. So that's the complete setup, and I think that looks pretty neat and tidy, given that Mechanism tends to produce these fairly untidy chains of equipment. So the only thing I need to interact with is this chest, which is pretty good as far as I'm concerned. And unfortunately, here is where the audio decided to die on me, or at least the game audio on my microphone. It does resume later in the episode, so I'm just going to record over the top while I actually run around. The main thing at this point we need to start off is by crafting the ME controller, as you can see on screen. It requires a few different things: concentrated cloud seed, skystone block, and osmium. Osmium we already know about. Skystone block you can make from skystone dust in lava using one of those barrels. A resonant machine frame and pure flux crystals, along with the processor at the top of the screen. You make the crystals using flux crystals, using flux seeds in, again, those crystal growth accelerators, and you can put everything together. The processors are obviously via the inscriber, which we've got over there on the left-hand side. And kind of concentrated cloud seed bucket we can make using vats. So that comes from clay and snow in a vat. And then you can output that to a second vat where you add even more clay and it becomes not just cloud seed, but concentrated cloud seed. And of course I've got that set up over on near our water wheel. Yeah, here it is. So one vat feeding into the other vat, and then it actually feeds into that tank on top, which we can then just grab out with buckets. And just feeding in some snowballs here to show the effect. It uses up a huge amount of power though when we actually do this, so do bear that in mind. So we can now finally craft the ME controller and get things going. There it is. Now I don't get any quest completion because I have to unlock Etta. And Etta needs one of the other quests to unlock, which I may discuss later in the episode. I think I'd actually do. It's the ultimate alloy in the mechanism tree. Unfortunately, I don't have that completed yet. I wanted to just rush straight at AE2 and the ME controller, which is exactly what we're going to do. And we need to put it down somewhere, so it doesn't really matter where we put it down, just to show it to you. But we need to feed power into one of the sides here, so we are going to need to put it down near our power system, and it will connect to RF, I believe. We'll see later in the episode it does, and you know, it's pretty good. We're going to have a final layout, but we'll have a temporary layout to start off with. What we can also do is use our glass cable, and we're going to be able to get 8 channels out of each side of this controller, and a channel just means device as far as data is concerned. So data is our, you know, things being moved in and out of the system. There isn't just a power connection effectively. So each side we can use glass cable to connect to it, or in fact upgraded versions of those cable, smart cable and dense cable, and we'll show you those in the next episode. But for now, why don't we go back to old me, who's about to explain a little bit more. So the first thing to hook up, just like we've discussed, is this crystal growth chamber. Condenses all of this into one block. I've laid out the ME controller, and this actually does accept power straight from RF cable. So there's just, whoops, let's pop down. There's just an RF cable going up into the bottom of the controller. Yeah, that does use up a slot, but this is very, very temporary setup. It's going to be quite small. We're going to have a much larger setup later. So let's see whether you accept. You do, okay, and you accept AE, and this sort of converts between the two. So AE, if you like, is the power system for Applied Energistics, as you might imagine. So you can pipe stuff in here, and it should be able to make stuff. So let's just take a look at, here we go. So Certus quartz seed. Let's have a look at nether quartz seed. I don't think I've made those yet. So nether quartz dust and sand, which is a pretty straightforward recipe as things go. Let's just grab that and some nether quartz. Quartz? Do we have any in the system? We have lots, but no actual dust. So let's just put a few through this. In you. Go. And that's going to be quite fast. What this effectively does, however, once it goes through this process, there you go, nether quartz dust. I may have already put some in. I don't remember putting some in. Wow. Okay. I have memory problems. Anyway, that's not new. We can then pop this in here. Oh, in fact, no, we have to make the seeds first. Let's put those both in my crafting inventory. And from there, we can drop the stuff into the crystal growth chamber. Hopefully that then does something. It's working. So this, you can see the percentage increasing. So it actually goes and does what we do with puddles. Because this accepts things on any side, we can pipe stuff into it and pull stuff back out with it with import and export buses later on. For now, that can just work as a single block. I'm very, very much of a fan of this E22 stuff mod, just for this one thing, just for that. So, what's next? Next is an ME drive. I've put it in here. Yeah, so 4 mercury, a couple of engineering processes, which we've made, not terribly hard, a couple of this glass cable, and we can make an ME drive. Let's go around here and pop you down, let's say, there for now. Again, temporary. 10 slots, 10 spaces, and we don't have to worry about priority, but we can deal with that later. Now we need something to go in the drive. And here's where we're going to have to craft a bit more stuff. Let's see what the actual recipe is like, shall we? Typically, I start with 4K cells. And let's just actually look up cells. There are a number of different sizes. Fluid storage, we don't need for just now. There's extra cells, which had even larger capacities than regular AE2. If we look at AE2 capacity, which is down... where's the 1K drives? No. 1K? Let's just look at 4K. There we go. So 4K drives, as you can see at the very top of the screen, it has a number of bytes and a number of types. No matter which size you actually create, you can only ever have 63 types of items in it. So in this system, this one block would have 4 types of items in it. Yeah? And you might get repeats, so that's certainly an issue when this overflows, but still only 4 types. So, as you might imagine, you're only going to get around 15 or 16 sort of storage drawers worth in a single item. Sounds pretty good. However, the other constraint is that it also only allows for a certain number of items, and it depends on whether you load it with more types or more stacks of a single item as to what its capacity is. It is a bit weird. You can work it out, and later on what we'll do is format some of these drives to be only one type. So for example, we could build a much higher capacity storage cell that just did iron. And that would mean that once we reflowed our system a little bit, it would just fill it with just iron. We'd give that higher priority so that it wouldn't pollute the rest of our drives. And cells in this case. So let's start off, shall we? What do we need for 4K? Because that's a reasonably cheap way to start, and we can just add lots in. That'll get us the majority of these storage drawers in there. However, some of them right now, let's just have a look for capacity. Quantity, let's just remove that. So the flint is 20k, and that's in a void barrel. Coal is 19k. Blocks of iron is 18k. You get the idea. So stuff up here may be problematic and may cause more of our drives to fill than otherwise. For example, on the 4K, is it the 4K? Let me just look at the notes. Yeah, on the 4K, if you only have one item in the cell, you can have 500 stacks. Yeah. So remember, of course, that we're not seeing stacks here, we're seeing quantity. So you got to divide that by 64 in this case. But still, 18,000 divided by 64, still a lot of stacks. Okay, so we're going to craft these. ME storage cell needs 4K storage component, which actually is a different recipe than normal, but that's still fine. Needs electrotine, we already have. Quartz glass, we can make quartz glass directly in the interface, which is great. I don't have to actually craft that. That's cool. Craft it, smelt it in a furnace. Those, I think I made a few. 1K storage component is, we need 3 of those for every 4K. Yeah, I don't know why it's only 3. I don't know why it's 3 times 1K equals 4K, but that's how it works. And inside here, we need Certus quartz crystal, electrotine alloy. Again, all stuff we've already created. And this is non-standard recipes. So, storage module tier 1 requires some bits and pieces, but all stuff that seems fairly straightforward. What do I actually have, though, is more to the point. Well, we have 1 chest, but maybe we should make some more. So let's just get rid of this for a minute. We're also going to need gold nuggets. So let's put a few of those in. And they can get stored. we want chests. So if we just grab some wood, load a couple of stacks up. Is that all we're getting? Okay, and just dump those back in the system. And then we'll just go through this and shift click through. So you, and that's not a chest recipe. Really? Where did my wood go? Did I just craft the wrong thing? Oh, what? What? Okay, we're having 16 chests. Don't question it. It was all fine. There's just some lag, obviously. Well, it's not really lag. It's more because I'm on a local server. It's more some issues with how fast this thing updates. But that's going to go soon, so that's all good. Here we go. And back to here again. That's iron, nether quartz, and redstone. We should have all of this. I don't think these stack. They don't. Okay. I'm not shift clicking. It would just fill my inventory if I did. But let's take 6 because we're going to need 6 to make 2 4K drives. And let's make all of you. Oh, you're not going to let me... Are we out of electrotine? No. Is this another one of those recipes that's just going to be really painful? Certus? No. Why? Oh, that's charged. Okay, non-charged. Yeah, it works. It's just not going to let me shift click in, which is painful, so I'm going to do it off camera. Make a few more of those, and then make these, which is just, again, all the same materials. I don't have to, do that on camera. I'm sure you can figure that out. Back in a second. All right, so hopefully this will now actually shift click. It will, and we got 2 4K drives. Now, the reason why I don't have any quests popping up is that in order to get into Etta, we've got to go through these quests for mechanism and down, I want to say, where is it? There. However, that requires us to go through metallurgic infuser. I need to make another one of those. I'll do those off camera. I already know where we're going with ME, so that's not too much of an issue. And now we can put our drives in there with green lights. Cool. But how do we get to stuff? Well, we need some way of addressing them. And unfortunately, unlike a regular inventory, you can't just attach a chest to something and see inside there without an ME chest. In fact, you can, but that would be laborious to try and pull a drive out, see what's on it, put it back in, and keep going like that. So we're going to need a terminal. It's just like our inventory panel, and there's a couple of variants. They do different things, as you might imagine. There is an ME terminal, that's the basic kind. That's going to take an inventory panel, and I'm going to need to craft another one because we're going to need both things up and running at the same time for me to do stuff. So, and it also requires an illuminated panel, which is very, very cheap. So we may as well make one of those, although we get 3, it looks like. So we can put that into the system. Whoops, not storage, return. And then let's just quickly look at the other panel. So ME crafting terminal is the one you actually want, but that's very cheap once you've got the regular terminal. You just need a crafting table and a calculation processor. That's straightforward. That just gives you a crafting grid and to be able to see all the inventory in the E22 system. So that's pretty good. You can also do pattern terminals. That's more for auto crafting stuff. We'll get to that. And then ME interface terminal. I can't remember what that is. I'll have to look it up. It's been a while. ME fluid terminal and ME gas terminals I've not used before, but I assume they're just the same as the inventory terminals for the extended systems in Extra Cells 2. I normally don't have, well, I haven't used those in the past. I've used things like bedrockium drums, which are pretty good for mass storage. Not sure how well that's going to go in this system, but we can always do this. And then later you can get a wireless system by a security terminal, and then these wireless terminals, where are they? Wireless universal terminal. Yeah, that is going to require a bit of crafting though. So we need the terminal, which means I need to craft another one of these inventory panels. Be right back. In order to make one of these inventory panels, we need a soul vial, and we're going to need to go to Mercury. You can do this in your base, but you may as well head here. Hopefully it's nighttime. It is. And we need to just quickly find... Why haven't you spawned if it's night? Ah, there's some spawns. Good. We're looking for witches. Witches do spawn on Mercury. You can try and get it from your mob farm. And I think I have a spare one. Just thought I'd show this on camera. Oh, is that a weird star effect? Sort of inverts things. Pretty cool. But just blazes. Is it Mercury or is it Venus? I'm all sure it's Mercury. Well, I'll fly around for a little bit and see if I can find some. And of course there's one. Let's just grab you. Ha! And head back home. Before they start throwing more blocks at me. Mercury stone. There we go. And we can combine that with the head of an ender, which has been processed by our slice and splice. Oh, it's in my inventory. Good. Both of those together. Oh, I've got a soul vial of an evolved witch. Ooh, will you count? Oh no, that's not good. So because I've fought bosses, that's going to be harder. Do I have that old soul vial of a witch ages ago? Some are evolved, so we can just dump that witch out and then grab another one if we need to. But I think I have... Aha! I have one. So we can go and create another inventory panel with that. However, we will need to go and grab a witch via some other method later. Yeah, sadly we can't get witch seeds to grow witches. I hope we can't grab witch seeds to grow witches. Spawn witch. Okay. And I guess we can look for monster spawners if they're in any dungeons in the extra things, but no witch seeds to get witch heads or anything. Yeah, let's pop you in. And I've only got 3 levels. What I did actually get is over 300 levels in this thing now, so we could make a powered spawner if we want to. And I think I made it for, let's just, 319 now. So let me just grab 7 levels, 8 levels, because I misclick. So yeah, we could make a powered spawner with what's in there. And that anvil that I showed you a few episodes ago. I don't have a particular need for any particular mod at the moment. So we will just use this. And we get a sentient ender. We get our soul vial back. And for some reason I have an enderman and an evolved witch in there now. Good. So the inventory panel, which we were looking for, crafted one before, is those plus some other bits that I may already have in the old crusty system that is this. Yep, we got remote awareness upgrade. I hate it when NEI changes things just as you're about to click. See, why does this happen? I don't know, but it does annoy me. Hopefully when we move to 1.10 packs, JEI, I think it's JEI that replaces NEI, hopefully that will get this problem solved. So vibrant crystals, yeah, let's just make a few of those. 1, 2, 3, 4. See? I didn't touch a thing. And it's gone again. And a couple of vibrant crystals. That will do. And then just the vibrant alloy gears. Do we have one of those in the... here? No. Okay, I'm going to need to make it. Be right back. Okay, with all those assembled now, we should be able to make an inventory panel. Cool. And if we put those in here with the illuminated panel, we get an ME terminal. And if we put those in, well, we're going to 2x2. Yeah, we get a crafting terminal. A much bigger table. Yeah, it is a much bigger table. Because we can put this, and I realize this is sort of a hard place to get to at the moment. But it's, yeah, we can put it down. And, oh, I've missed you. So this will allow us to shift click things in, and if we want to, we can put stuff in, and it will start filling up these. So you can see 1 of 63 types, but only 34 bytes used. Okay, so I can, between the episodes, create quite a few more ME drives. And then I've got to look at some way of getting all this stuff into them, but I'll do that between the episodes. You can just literally connect the two up and say, hey, this is high priority now for everything, and then set it to go in there, and it will. I think I need an interface for that. ME interface. Anything you push into an ME interface should get pulled into the system. Ooh, that requires some other things. What's the input bus like? Input bus. It's the other way, I suppose. Oh, that's actually much. Ooh, what's a Flux Pearl? Oh, okay, that's much cheaper. Yeah, so input bus is the other way of pulling the stuff into the system. I guess we can directly attach it to this and just tell it to pull everything. We'll give that a try between the episodes. Obviously show you afterwards. But I want to get rid of all of these, if possible, and have everything running off ME drives. But even with 10 slots, I'm going to need a lot more of these. I'm not quite sure exactly how many, but I certainly will be once I try and pull stuff into there. So we got this episode pretty much done. I think that's enough for the episode. We're running out of time. That's ME storage sorted. We do have to go and talk about ME crafting, which is sort of the next step once we've got this. And once I've got these into ME drives, I'll then, once we've got this out of the way, I may well move it to its final position. I may build a lower floor or something like that for our MEs down here, or maybe not. I need to move that if that's the case. That would drive me mental. But yeah, we'll see. I'll find a place to actually put it. You can create multiple controllers to get extra channels, and they do actually link up, but you can't just combine them into a big cube. You sort of have to make long runs of them, and to start with, just a vertical panel or a vertical stack, or a horizontal stack will do just fine. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the episode. Feel free to give it a like if you did. We are into ME and Applied Energistics 2. This should become so much easier now that I can actually, well, not initially because I got to get the storage first, but then I've got to be able to do all the auto crafting stuff, which requires a whole bunch of other stuff, which we're going to have a look at. Done those previously, but if you've not seen them before or not got something optimal before, let's start building something cool. Thanks for watching.